Late King Henry VI, deposed by Edward IV, imprisoned in the Tower and murdered by Edward's brothers, Richard and Clarence. Only a few months earlier, his only son was stabbed to death by Edward, Clarence and Richard at the Battle of Tewkesbury. Edward IV, the King of England, the sun in splendor, and his wife, Queen Elizabeth, by overthrowing and murdering Henry VI, Edward has settled an uneasy peace between the houses of York and Lancaster. George, Duke of Clarence, brother to the King and Richard, joint murderer with Richard of Henry and Henry's only son. Richard, Duke of Gloucester, the boar. His father and his younger brother were both murdered by King Henry and Henry's Queen Margaret. Earl Rivers, brother to the Queen. Later he will be executed. Lord Grey, son of Queen Elizabeth by her first husband. Later he will be executed. The Marquis of Dorset, his brother. Now he will escape execution and fly to France. The Duke of Buckingham, Richard's confidant, right-hand man, peer of the realm, politician, at the heart of the struggle for power. Later he will be executed. Lord Hastings, the Lord Chamberlain, supporter of Edward IV. Now he will be arrested, released, arrested again, and finally executed. Lord Stanley, supporter of those in power. Supporter of Henry VI, Edward IV, Richard of Gloucester, and the Earl of Richmond. He will live to a ripe old age. And now the ladies. Margaret, Henry VI's widow and former queen. Her husband was murdered in the Tower, and her only son was stabbed to death in the Battle of Tewkesbury. The Duchess of York, mother to Edward, Clarence, and Richard. A husband, a son, and her 2 grandchildren are all murdered. Lady Anne. Her father, her father-in-law, and her husband are all killed by Richard of Gloucester. Later she herself will be killed by him. The sons and heirs to the throne, the Prince of Wales and the Duke of York. The royal brothers, Edward, Clarence, and Richard. The Woodvilles, related to the crown through marriage, not blood. The ladies in mourning, Margaret mourning a late husband, the late king, and a late son. Lady Anne mourning her late husband and a late father-in-law, the late king. Duchess of York mourning everybody. The ladies in mourning, the Woodvilles, the politicians, the Plantagenets. Simple. Now is
the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this song of York. And all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung up for monuments, our stern alarums changed to merry meetings, our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim-visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front, and now instead of mounting barbed steeds to fright the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber to the lascivious pleasing of a lute. But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an amorous looking glass, I that am rudely stamped, and want love's majesty to strut before a wanton ambling nymph, I that am curtailed of this fair proportion, cheated of feature by dissembling nature, deformed, unfinished, sent before my time into this breathing world, scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable that dogs bark at me as I halt by them. Why, I, in this weak, piping time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to spy my shadow in the sun and descant on mine own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover, to entertain these fair, well-spoken days, I am determined to prove a villain. And hate the idle pleasures of these days. Plots have I laid, inductions dangerous by, drunken prophecies, libels and dreams, to set my brother Clarence and the king in deadly hate the one against the other. And if King Edward be as true and just as I am subtle, false, and treacherous, this day should Clarence closely be mewed up about a prophecy which says that G of Edward's heirs the murderer shall be. Thy thoughts down to my soul. Here George comes. Brother George, good day.
Ay. What means this armed guard that waits upon your grace?
His Majesty, tendering my person's safety, hath appointed this conduct to convey me to the Tower.
Upon what cause?
Because my name is George.
Oh, yeah. Alack, my lord, that fault is none of yours. You should for that commit your godfathers. Well, what's the matter, Clarence? May I know?
Yea, Richard, when I know, for I protest, as yet I do not. But as I can learn, he hearkens after prophecies and dreams, and from the crossrow plucks the letter G and says, a wizard told him. And by G his issue disinherited shall be, and for my name of George begins with G, it follows in his thought that I am he.
Why, this it is when men are ruled by women. It is not the king that sends you to the Tower. My lady Grey, his wife, Clarence, 'tis she that tempers him to this extremity. Was it not she that made him send Lord Hastings to the Tower, from thence this present day he is delivered. We're not safe, Clarence. We're not safe.
By heavens, I think there is no man secure but the Queen's kindred and night-walking heralds that trudge betwixt the King and Mistress Shaw.
I beseech your graces both to pardon me. His Majesty straitly given charge that no man shall have private conference of what degree soever with his brother.
Even so, and please your worship, Brackenbury, you may partake of anything we say. We say the king is wise and virtuous, and his noble queen well struck in years, fair and not jealous. We say that Shaw's wife hath a pretty foot, a cherry lip, a bonny eye, a passing pleasing tongue, and that the queen's kindred are made gentle folk. How say you, sir? Can you deny all this?
I do beseech your grace to pardon me, and withal forbear your conference with the noble duke.
We know thy charge, Brackenbury, and will obey.
We're the queen's abjects, and must obey. Brother, farewell. I will unto the king, and whatsoever you will employ me in, I will perform it to enfranchise you. Meantime, this deep disgrace in brotherhood touches me deeper than you can imagine.
I know it pleaseth neither of us well.
Oh! Well, your imprisonment shall not be long. I will deliver you. Hey, or else lie for you. Meantime, have patience.
I must perforce. Farewell.
Go tread the path that thou shalt ne'er return. Simple, plain Clarence, I do love thee so that I will shortly send thy soul to heaven, if heaven will take the present at our hands. But who comes here than you delivered Hastings?
Good time of day unto my gracious lord.
March unto my good Lord Chamberlain. Well, you're welcome to the open air. How hath your lordship brooked imprisonment?
With patience, noble lord, as prisoners must.
Yeah.
That I shall live to give them thanks that were the cause of my imprisonment.
No doubt, no doubt. And so shall Clarence too. For those that were your enemies are his, and have prevailed as much on him as you.
More pity that the eagles should be mute while kites and buzzards pray at liberty.
Oh. What news abroad?
No news so bad abroad as this at home. The king is sickly, weak, and melancholy, and his physicians fear him mightily.
Oh, by St. Paul, that news is bad indeed. Oh, he hath kept an evil diet long, and overmuch consumed his royal person. 'Tis very grievous to be thought upon. Where is he? In his bed?
He is.
Go you before. I'll follow you. He cannot live. I hope. And must not die till George be packed with post-horse up to heaven. I'll in to urge his hatred more to Clarence with lies well steeled with weighty arguments. And if I fail not in my deep intent, Clarence hath not another day to live, which done, God taking Edward to his mercy, and leave the world for me to bustle in. Then I'll marry Warwick's youngest daughter. Oh, what? Though I killed her husband. And his father. The readiest way to make the wench amends is to become her husband and her father. The which will I. But yet, I run before my horse to market. Clarence still breathes. Edward still lives and reigns. When they're gone, then must I count my gains?
Sit down. down your honourable load, whilst I while obsequiously lament the untimely fall of virtuous Lancaster. Poor key-cold figure of a holy king, pale ashes of the house of Lancaster, thou bloodless remnant of that royal blood, be it lawful that I invocate thy ghost to hear the lamentations of poor Anne, wife to thy Edward, to thy slaughtered son stabbed by the selfsame hand that made these wounds. Lo, in these windows that let forth thy life, I pour the helpless balm of my poor eyes. Oh, cursed be the hand that made these holes. Cursed the heart that had the heart to do it. Cursed the blood that let this blood from hence. If ever he have child, abortive be it, prodigious and untimely brought to light. If ever he have wife, let her be made more miserable by the life of him than I am made by my young lord and thee. Come now, towards Chertsey with your holy load, taken from Paul's to be interred there.
Stay, you that bear the course, and set it down. Villain, set down the course, or by St. Paul, I'll make a course of him that disobeys.
My lord, stand back and let the coffin pass.
Unmannered dog, stand thou when I command, or by St. Paul, I'll strike thee to my foot.
What? Do you tremble? Are you all afraid? Alas, I blame you not, for you are mortal, and mortal eyes cannot endure the devil.
Oh.
Avaunt, thou dreadful minister of hell.
Sweet saint, for charity, be not so cursed.
Oh, devil, for God's sake, hence and trouble us not. For thou hast made this happy earth thy hell. If thou delight to view thy heinous deeds, behold this pattern of thy butcheries. Gentlemen, see dead Henry's wounds open their congealed mouths and bleed afresh. Blush, blush, thou lump of foul deformity, for 'tis thy presence that exhales this blood from cold and empty veins where no blood dwells. O God, which this blood mayst, revenge his death. O earth, which this blood drinks, revenge his death.
Lady, you know no rules of charity which renders good for bad, blessings for curses.
Villain, thou know'st no law of God nor man. No beast so fierce, but know some touch of pity.
But I know none, and therefore am no beast.
Oh, wonderful, when devils tell the truth.
Oh, wonderful, when angels are so angry. Vouchsafe, divine perfection of a woman, of these supposed crimes to give me leave by circumstance, but to acquit myself.
Vouchsafe, diffuse infection of a man, of these known evils, but to give me leave by circumstance to accuse thy cursed self.
Fairer than tongue can name thee, let me have some patient leisure to excuse myself.
Fouler than heart can think thee. Thou canst make no excuse current, but to hang thyself.
By such despair I should accuse myself.
And by despairing shalt thou stand excused, for doing worthy vengeance on myself that didst unworthy slaughter upon others.
Say that I slew them not.
Then say they were not slain. But dead they are, and devilish slave by thee.
I did not kill your husband.
Why, then he is alive.
Nay, he's dead, and slain by Edward's hand.
In thy foul throat thou liest. Queen Margaret saw thy murderous falchion smoking in his blood, the which thou once did bend against her breast.
I was provoked by her slanderous tongue.
Thou wast provoked by thy bloody mind, which never dreamst on aught but butcheries. Didst thou not kill this king?
I grant ye yea.
Dost grant me, hedgehog? Then God grant me too, thou mayst be damned for that wicked deed. Ah, he was gentle, mild, and virtuous.
The better for the King of Heaven that hath him.
He is in heaven where thou shalt never come.
Let him thank me that hoped to send him thither, for he was fitter for that place than earth.
Thou art fit for any place but hell.
Yes, one place else, if you will hear me name it.
Some dungeon.
Your bedchamber.
Ill rest betide the chamber where thou liest.
So will it, madam, till I lie with you.
I hope so.
I know. So. But yet, Lady Anne, to leave this keen encounter of our wits, fall something into a slower method. Is not the causer of the timeless deaths of these Plantagenets, Henry and Edward, as blameful as the executioner?
Thou wast the cause and most accursed effect.
Your beauty was the cause of that effect. Your beauty, that it haunt me in my sleep, to undertake the death of all the world, so I might live 1 hour in your sweet bosom.
If I thought that, I tell thee homicide. These nails should rent that beauty from my cheek.
These eyes could not endure that beauty's wrack. You should not blemish if I stood by. As all the world is cheered by the sun, so I by that. It is my day, my life.
Black night o'ershade thy day, and death thy life.
Curse not thyself, fair creature, thou art both.
I would I were to be revenged on thee.
It is a quarrel most unnatural to be revenged on him that loveth thee.
It is a quarrel just and reasonable to be revenged on him that killed my husband.
He that bereft thee, lady, of thy husband, did it to help thee to a better husband.
Is better, doth not breathe upon the earth.
He lives that loves thee better than he could.
Name him.
Plantagenet.
That was he.
The self-same name, but one of better nature.
Where is he?
Here! Why dost thou spit at me?
Would it were mortal poison for thy sake.
Never came poison from so sweet a place.
Never hung poison on a fouler toad out of my sight. Thou dost infect mine eyes.
Thine eyes, sweet lady, have infected mine.
Would they were basilisks to strike thee dead.
I would they were, that I might die at once, for now they kill me with a living death. Those eyes of thine from mine have drawn salt tears. These eyes, which never shed remorseful tear, no. When my father York and Edward wept to hear the piteous moan that Rutland made. Thy beauty now hath, and made them blind with weeping. Teach not thy lips such scorn, for it was made for kissing, lady, not for such contempt. If thy revengeful heart cannot forgive, lo, here I lend thee this sharp-pointed sword, which if thou please to hide in this true breast, and let the soul forth that adoreth thee, I lay it naked to the deadly stroke, and humbly beg the death upon my knee. Nay, do not pause, for I did kill King Henry. But 'twas thy beauty that provoked me. Nay, now, dispatch! 'Twas I that stabbed young Edward. But 'twas thy heavenly face that set me on. Take up the sword again. or take up me.
Arise, dissembler, though I wish thy death, I will not be thy executioner.
Then bid me kill myself, and I'll do it.
I have already.
That was in thy rage. Speak it again. And even with the word, this hand, which for thy love did kill thy love, shall for thy love kill a far truer love. To both their deaths shalt thou be accessory.
I would I knew thy heart.
'Tis figured in my tongue.
I fear me both are false.
That never was man true.
Well, put up your sword.
Say then, my peace is made.
That shalt thou know hereafter.
But shall I live in hope?
All men, I hope, live so.
Vouchsafe to wear this ring.
To take is not to give.
Lo, how my ring encompasseth thy finger. Even so, thy breast encloseth my poor heart, where both of them, for both of them are thine. And if thy poor devoted servant may but beg one favour at thy gracious hand, thou dost confirm his happiness forever.
What is it?
That it may please you, leave these sad designs to him that hath most cause to be a mourner. And presently repair to Crosby Place, where, after I have solemnly interred at Chertsey Monastery this noble king, and wet his grave with my repentant tears, I will with all expedient duty see you. For divers unknown reasons, I beseech you, grant me this boon.
With all my heart. And much it joys me, too, to see you are become so penitent. And Berkeley, do you go along with me?
Bid me farewell!
It is more than you deserve. But since you teach me how to flatter you, imagine I have said farewell already.
Sirs, take up the course.
Towards Chertsey, noble lord.
Now to Whitefriars, there attend my coming. Was ever woman in this humour wooed? Was ever woman in this humour won? I'll have her, but I will not keep her long. What? I that killed her husband and his father, to take her in her heart's extremest hate, with curses in her mouth, tears in her eyes, the bleeding witness of her hatred by, having God, her conscience, and these bars against me, and I no friends to back my suit at all. But the plain devil, and dissembling looks, and yet to win her. All the world to nothing. Ha! Hath she forgot already that brave Prince Edward, her lord, who I some 3 months since stabbed in my angry mood at Tewkesbury, a sweeter and a lovelier gentleman, framed in the prodigality of nature, young, valiant, wise, and no doubt right royal, the spacious world cannot again afford? And will she yet debase her eyes on me, that cropped the golden prime of this sweet prince and made her widow to a woeful bed on me, whose all not equals Edward's moiety. On me, that halts and am misshapen thus. My dukedom to a beggarly denier. I do mistake my person all this while. Upon my life, she finds, although I cannot, myself to be a marvellous, proper man. Albeit charges for a looking-glass, and entertain a score or two of tailors to study fashions to adorn my body, since I'm crept in favour with myself. I will maintain it with some little cost, but first I'll turn yon fellow in his grave and then return, lamenting, to my love. Shine out, fair sun, till I have bought a glass, that I may see my shadow as I pass.
Have patience, madam. There's no doubt His Majesty will soon recover his accustomed health.
In that you brook it ill, it makes him worse. Therefore, for God's sake, entertain good comfort.
If he were dead, what would betide on me?
No other harm but loss of such a lord.
The loss of such a lord includes all harm.
The heavens have blessed you with a goodly son to be your comforter when he is gone.
He is young, and his minority is put under the trust of Richard Gloucester, a man that loves not me, nor none of you.
Is it concluded he should be protector?
It is determined, not concluded yet, but so it must be if the king miscarry.
Good time of day unto your royal grace.
God make your majesty joyful as you have been.
What likelihood of the king's amendment clause?
Oh, madam, good hope, his grace speaks cheerfully.
God grant him health. Did you confer with him?
Aye, madam, he desires to make atonement between the Duke of Gloucester and your brother, and twixt Lord Hastings and your noble sons, and sent to warn them to his royal presence.
Would all were well. But that will never be. I fear our happiness is at the height.
No. They do me wrong, and I will not endure it. Who is it that complains unto the king that I forsooth am stern, and love them not? By holy Paul, they love his grace but lightly that fill his ears with such dissentious rumour. Because I cannot flatter and look fair, smile in men's faces, smooth, deceive and cog, dark with French nods and apish courtesy, I must be held a rancorous enemy. Cannot a plain man live and think no harm? But thus his simple truth must be abused, with silken sly insinuating jacks.
Who in all this presence speaks, your grace?
To thee, that hast nor honesty nor grace. When have I injured thee? When done thee wrong? Or they, or any of your faction? A plague upon you all. His royal grace, whom God preserve better than you would wish, cannot be quiet scarce a breathing while, but you must trouble him with lewd complaints.
Brother of Gloucester, you mistake the matter. Oh, the king of his own royal disposition, and not provoked by any suitor else, aiming belike at your interior hatred against my children, brothers, and myself, makes him to send, that he may learn the ground of your ill will, and thereby to remove it.
I cannot tell. The world is grown so bad that wrens make prey where eagles dare not perch. Since every jack became a gentleman, there's many a gentle person made a jack.
come. We know your meaning, Brother Gloucester. You envy my advancement and my friends. God grant we never may have need of you.
Meantime, God grants that we have need of you. Our brother is in prison. By your means, myself disgraced, and the nobility held in contempt, while great promotions are daily given to ennoble those who scarce 2 days since were worth a noble.
I never did incense his majesty against the Duke of Clarence, but have been an earnest advocate to plead for him. My lord, you do me shameful injury, falsely to draw me in these vile suspects.
You may deny that you are not the mean of my Lord Hastings laid in prison, but she may. Lord Rivers, why, who knows not so? She may do more so than denying that. She may help you to many fair preferments, and then deny her aiding hand therein, and lay those honours on your high deserts. What may she not? She may. Marry may she.
What? Marry may she?
What marry may she? Marry with a king, a bachelor, and a handsome stripling too.
My lord of Gloucester, I have too long borne your blunt upbraidings and your bitter scoffs. By heaven, I will acquaint his majesty of those gross taunts that oft I have endured. I had rather be a country servant maid than a great queen with this condition, to be so baited, scorned, and stormed at. Small joy have I in being England's queen.
What? Threat you me with telling of the king? Tell him, and spare not. Look, what I have said, I will avouch it in presence of the king. I dare adventure to be sent to the Tower. Takes time to speak, my pains are quite forgot. There you were queen, I, or your husband king. I was a pack horse in his great affairs. To royalize his blood, I spent mine own. In all which time you and your husband Grey were factious for the house of Lancaster. And Rivers, so were you. I would to God my heart were flint, like Edward's, or Edward's soft and pitiful like mine. I'm too childish, foolish for this world.
My Lord of Gloucester, in those busy days which here you urge to prove us enemies, we followed then our Lord, our sovereign king. So should we you, if you should be our king.
If I should be, I'd rather be a peddler. Far be it from my heart the thought thereof.
As little joy, my lord, as you suppose you should enjoy, were you this country's king, as little joy you may suppose in me that I enjoy, being the queen thereof.
Aye, little joy enjoys the queen thereof, for I am she, and altogether joyless. I can no longer hold me patient. Hear me, ye wrangling pirates, that fall out in sharing that you have pilled from me. Which of you trembles not that looks on me? Ah, gentle villain, do not turn away.
Foul wrinkled witch, what makest thou in my sight? Wilt thou not banish it on pain of death?
I was, but I do find more pain in banishment than death can yield me here by my abode. A husband and a son thou owest to me, and now a kingdom. All of you are legions. This sorrow that I have by rights is yours, and all the pleasures you usurp are mine.
The curse my noble father laid on thee, when thou didst crown his warlike brows with paper, and with thy scorns drewest rivers from his eyes, and then to dry them gavest the Duke a clout steeped in the faultless blood of pretty Rutland. His curses then from bitterness of soul denounced against thee are all fallen upon thee, and God, not we, have plagued thy bloody deed.
So just is God to right the innocent.
Oh, 'twas the foulest deed to slay that boy, and the most merciless it ever was heard of.
Tyrants themselves wept when it was reported.
No man but prophesies revenge for us.
What? Were you snarling all before I came, ready to catch each other by the throat?
and turn you all your hatred now on me. Why then, give way, thou clouds, to my quick curses. Though not by war, by serpent, die your king. Edward your son that now is Prince of Wales, the Edward my son that was Prince of Wales, die in his youth by like untimely violence. Thyself a queen, for me that was a queen, outlive thy glory like my wretched self. Long mayst thou live to wail thy children's death, and see another, as I see thee now, decked in thy rights as thou art stalled in mine, and after many lengthened hours of grief, die neither mother, wife, nor England's queen. Rivers and Dorset, you were standers by, and so were thou, Lord Hastings, when my son was stabbed with bloody daggers. Oh God, I pray that none of you may live his natural age, but by some unlooked accident cut off.
Have done thy charm, thou hateful withered hag.
And leave out thee. Stay, dog, for thou wilt hear me. The worm of conscience still begnaw thy soul. No sleep close up that deadly eye of thine, unless it be what some tormenting dream affrights thee with a hell of ugly devils. Thou elfish marked, abortive, rooting hog, thou that was sealed in thy nativity, the slave of nature and the son of hell, thou slander of thy heavy mother's womb, thou loaded issue of thy father's loins, thou rag of honor, thou detested!
Margaret! Thus have you breathed your curse against yourself.
Poor painted queen, vain flourish of my fortune. Why strewest thou sugar on this bottled spider whose deadly web ensnareth thee about? Fool! Fool, thou whetst the knife to kill myself. The day will come when you will wish for me to help thee curse this poisonous bunchback toad.
False boding woman, end thy frantic curse, lest to thy harm thy move our patience.
Foul shame upon you! You have all moved mine.
Dispute not with her, she's lunatic.
Peace, Master Marquis. You are malapert.
Good counsel, marry. Learn it, Marquis.
It touches you, my lord, as much as me.
Peace. Peace for shame, if not for charity.
Neither charity nor shame to me. And charitably with me have you dealt, and shamelessly my hopes by you are butchered.
Have done.
Oh, princely Buckingham, I kiss thy hand in sign of league and amity with thee. Now, fair before thee and thy noble house, thy garments are not spotted with our blood, nor thou within the compass of my curse. O Buckingham, take heed of yonder dog. Look, when he fawns, he bites, and when he bites, his venom tooth will rankle to the death. Beware of him. Take heed of him. Sin, death, and hell have left their marks on him, and all their ministers attend on him.
What does she say, my Lord of Buckingham?
Nothing that I respect, my gracious lord.
No.
What? Will you scorn me for my gentle counsel and soothe the devil that I warn thee from? Oh, but remember this another day, when he shall split thy very heart with sorrow, and say, poor Margaret was a prophetess. Live all of you, the subjects to his hate, and he to yours, and all of you to God's.
My hair does stand on end at your curses, so doth mine.
I muse why she is at liberty.
I cannot blame her. By God's holy mother, she hath had too much wrong, and I repent my part thereof that I have done to her.
I never did her any, to my knowledge.
Yet you have all the vantage of her wrong.
Madam, his majesty doth call for you and for your grace and yours, my gracious lord.
I come.
Lord, will you go with me?
We wait upon your grace.
I do the wrong, and first begin to brawl. The secret mischiefs that I set abroach, I lay unto the grievous charge of others. Clarence, whom I indeed have cast in darkness, I do beweep to many simple gulls, namely to Stanley, Buckingham, Hastings, and tell them 'tis the Queen and her allies that stir the king against the Duke my brother. Now they believe it, and withal wet me to be revenged on Rivers, Dorset, Grey. But then I sigh, and with a piece of scripture tell them that God bids us do good for evil. And thus I clothe my naked villainy with other lens stolen forth of holy writ, and seem a saint when most I play the devil. Soft, here come my executioners. Now, my hardy, stout, resolved mates, are you now going to dispatch this thing?
We are, my lord, and come to have the warrant that we may be admitted where he is.
Well thought upon. I have it here about me. When you have done, repair to Crosby Place, but sirs, be sudden in the execution with all obdurate. Do not hear him plead, for Clarence is well spoken, and perhaps may move your hearts to pity, if you mark him.
Tut, tut, my lord, we will not stand to prate. Talkers are no good doers. Be assured we go to use our hands and not our tongues.
Your eyes drop millstones when fools' eyes fall tears. I like you, lads. About your business, straight. Go, go, dispatch.
We will, my noble lord.
Yeah.
Why looks your grace so heavily today?
Oh, I've passed a miserable night. So full of fearful dreams, of ugly sights. But as I am a Christian, faithful man, I would not spend another such a night, though 'twere to buy a world of happy days. So full of dismal terror was the time.
What was your dream, my lord? I pray you tell me.
Methought that I had broken from the tower. And was embarked to cross to Burgundy. And in my company, my brother, Gloucester, who from my cabin tempted me to walk upon the hatches. Thence we looked toward England and sighted up 1,000 heavy times during the wars of York and Lancaster that had befallen us. As we paced along upon the giddy footing of the hatches, methought that Gloucester stumbled, and in falling struck me that thought to stay him overboard into the tumbling billows of the sea. O Lord, methought what pain it was to drown, what dreadful noise of waters in my ears, sights of ugly death within my eyes. Methought I saw 1,000 fearful rags, 1,000 men that fishes gnawed upon, wedges of gold, great ingots, heaps of pearl, inestimable stones, unvalued jewels, all scattered in the bottom of the sea. Some lay in dead men's skulls, and in the holes were eyes that once inhabit, there were crept, as 'twere in scorn of eyes, reflecting gems that wooed the slimy bottom of the deep, and mocked the dead bones that lay scattered by.
Had you such leisure in time of death to gaze upon these secrets of the deep?
Methought I had, and often did I strive to yield the ghost, but still the envious flood stopped in my soul, and would not let it forth to find the empty, vast and wandering air, but smothered it within my panting bulk, which almost burst to belch it in the sea.
Waked you not in this sore agony?
No. No. My dream was lengthened after life. Oh, then began the tempest to my soul. I passed, methought, the melancholy flood unto the kingdom of perpetual night. The first that there did greet my stranger soul was my great father-in-law, renowned Warwick, who spake aloud, "What scourge for perjury can this dark monarchy afford false Clarence?" So he vanished. Then came wandering by a shadow like an angel with bright hair dabbled in blood, and he shrieked out aloud, "Clarence is come! False, fleeting, perjured Clarence, that stabbed me in the field by Tewkesbury! Seize on him, furies, take him unto torment!" With that, methought a legion of foul fiends environed me, and howled in my ears. Such hideous cries. With the very noise I trembling waked, and for a season after could not believe but that I was in hell.
such terrible impression made my dream.
No marvel, Lord, though it affrighted you, I am afraid, methinks, to hear you tell it.
Keeper, keeper. I have done these things that now give evidence against my soul for Edward's sake. And see how he requites me. O God, if my deep prayers cannot appease thee, and thou wilt be avenged on my misdeeds, yet execute thy wrath in me alone. O spare my guiltless wife and my poor children. Keeper! I prithee, sit by me a while. My soul is heavy, and I fain would sleep.
I will, my lord. God give you grace, good rest. Sorrow breaks seasons and reposing hours, making the night morning and the noontide night. Princes have but their titles for their glories, an outward honour for an inward toil. And for unfelt imaginations they often feel a world of restless cares, so that between their titles and low name there's nothing differs but the outward fame.
What wouldst thou, fellow? How camest thou hither?
I would speak with Clarence, and I came hither on my legs.
What so brief?
'Tis better, sir, than to be tedious. Let him see our commission and talk no more.
I am in this commanded to deliver the noble Duke of Clarence into your hands. I will not reason what is meant hereby, because I will be guiltless from the meaning. There lies the noble Duke asleep. I'll unto the king and signify to him that thus I have resigned to you my charge.
You may, sir. 'Tis a point of wisdom. Fare ye well.
Or shall I stab him while he sleeps?
No, you'll say 'twas done cowardly when he wakes.
He will never wait till that great day of judgment.
Why, then you'll say we stabbed him sleeping.
The urging of that word judgment hath bred a kind of remorse in me.
What, art thou afraid?
Not to kill him having a warrant, but to be damned for killing him, for which no warrant can defend me.
I thought there had been resolute.
So I am, to let him live.
Off back to the Duke of Gloucester and tell him so.
I prithee stay a little. I hope this passionate humour of mine will change. He was wont to hold me but while one tells twin.
How does I feel myself now?
Some certain dregs of conscience are yet left within me.
Remember our reward when the deed's done.
As soon as he dies, I forgot the reward.
Where's our conscience now?
Oh, it is in the Duke of Gloucester's purse.
When he opens his purse to give us our reward, our conscience flies out.
Just no matter, let it go. There's few and none will entertain it.
What if it come to thee again?
Will not meddle with it. Makes a man a coward. Man cannot steal, but it accuseth him. A man cannot swear, but it checks him. A man cannot lie with his neighbour's wife, but it detects him. It is a blushing, shamefaced spirit that mutinies in a man's bosom. It fills a man full of obstacles. It made me once restore a purse of gold that by chance I found. Now, it beggars any man that keeps it.
It is turned out of towns and cities for a dangerous thing, and any man that means to live well endeavours to trust himself and live without it.
Soon 'tis even now at my elbow, persuading me not to kill the Jew.
Take the devil in thy mind and believe him not. He will insinuate with thee, but to make thee sign.
I am strong frame. He cannot prevail with me.
Spoke like a tall man that respects thy reputation. Come, shall we fall to work?
Take him on the costard with the hilt of thy sword, and then throw him into the malmsey butt in the next room.
Excellent device. We'll make a sop of it.
Wait!
Strike!
No, we'll reason with him. All right, thou keeper. Give me a cup of wine.
Thou shalt have wine enough anon, my lord.
In God's name, what art thou?
A man as you are.
But not as I am, royal. Nor you as we are, loyal.
Thy voice is thunder, but thy looks are humble.
My voice is now the king's, my looks mine own.
How darkly and how deadly dost thou speak. Your eyes do menace me. Why look you pale? Who sent you hither? Wherefore do you come? To murder me. You scarcely have the hearts to tell me so, and therefore cannot have the hearts to do it. Wherein, my friends, have I offended you?
Offended us? You have not, but the king.
Oh, I shall be reconciled to him again.
Never, my lord. Therefore, prepare to die.
Are you drawn forth among a world of men to slay the innocent? What is my offence? Where is the evidence that doth accuse me? What lawful quest have given their verdict up unto the frowning judge, or who pronounced the bitter sentence of poor Clarence death? Before I be convicted by course of law, to threaten me with death is most unlawful. I charge you, as you hope to have redemption by Christ's dear blood, shed for our grievous sins, that you depart and lay no hands on me. The deed you undertake is damnable.
What we will do, we do upon command.
Neither command, it is our king.
Erroneous vassals. The great king of kings hath in the table of his law commanded that thou shalt do no murder. Will you then spurn at his edict and fulfill a man's? Oh, take heed, for he holds vengeance in his hand to hurl upon their heads that break his law.
And that same vengeance do they hurl on thee, for false forswearing, and for murder too.
How canst thou urge God's dreadful law to us, when thou hast broken in such dear degree by murdering of good King Henry's son?
Alas, for whose sake did I that ill deed? For Edward, for my brother, for his sake. He sent you not to murder me for this, for in that sin he is as deep as I. If God will be avenged for the deed, oh know you, yet he doth it publicly. He needs no indirect or lawless course to cut off those that have offended him.
Who made thee then a bloody minister, when gallant, springing, brave young Edward, that princely novice, was struck dead by thee?
My brother's love!
Devil, and my rage.
Well, thy brother's love, our duty, and thy faults provoke us here now to slaughter thee.
Oh, if you love my brother, hate not me. I am his brother, and I love him well. Look, if you are hired for mead, go back again, and I will send you to my brother Gloucester, who shall reward you better for my life than Edward will for tidings of my death.
You are deceived, my lord. Your brother Gloucester hates you.
No. No, he loves me and beholds me dear. Go you to him from me.
Why, so we will.
Yeah, tell him that when our princely father York blessed his 3 sons with his victorious arm and charged us from his soul to love each other, he little thought of this divided friendship. Bid Gloucester think of this, and he will weep.
Aye, millstones as he lessoned us to weep.
Do not slander him, for he is kind.
Right. As snow in harvest.
Come, you deceive yourself. 'Tis he that sends us to destroy you here.
No! 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 It cannot be, for he bewept my fortune and hugged me in his arms and swore with sobs that he would labour my deliverance.
Why, so he doth. When he delivers you from this earth's thraldom to the joys of heaven.
Make your peace with God, my lord, or you must die.
Have you that holy feeling in your souls to counsel me to make my peace with God? And are you yet to your own souls so blind that you will war with God by murdering me? Sirs, consider, they that set you on to do the deed will hate you for the deed.
What shall we do?
Relent and save your souls.
Relent, no, 'tis cowardly and womanish.
Not to relent is beastly, savage, devilish. Which of you, if you were a prince's son, be pent from liberty as I am now, if two such murderers as yourselves came to you, would not entreat for life, you would beg when you in my distress. My friend, espy some pity in thy looks. Or if thine eye be not a flatterer, come thou at my side and entreat for me. A begging prince, what beggar pities not? Look out, my lord!
Take that! And that! No! Good! Foolish will not do. I'll drown you in the Malmsey butt with him.
A bloody deed and desperately dispatched. How fain like Pilate would I wash my hands of this most grievous murder.
How now? What means that thou helpst me not? By heavens, the Duke shall know how slack you've been.
How would he know that I've saved his brother's life? Take down the feet, tell him what I say. For I do repent me that the Duke is slain.
So do not I. Go. Coward as thou art. Well, I'll go hide the body in some hole till let the Duke give order for his burial. When I have my mead, I will away. For this will out, and then I must not stay.
Why so? Now have I done a good day's work. You peers, continue this united league. I every day expect an embassage from my Redeemer to redeem me hence, and more at peace my soul shall part to heaven, since I have made my friends at peace on earth. Rivers and Hastings, take each other's hand. Dissemble not your hatred, swear your love.
By heaven, my soul is purged from grudging hate, and with my hand I seal my true heart's love.
So thrive I, as I truly swear the like.
Take heed you dally not before your king, lest he who is the supreme king of kings confound your hidden falsehood and award either of you to be the other's end.
So prosper I, as I swear perfect love.
And I, as I love Hastings with my heart.
Madam, yourself is not exempt from this, nor you, son Dorset, Buckingham, nor you. You have been factious one against the other. Wife, love Lord Hastings. Let him kiss your hand, and what you do, do it unfeignedly.
There, Hastings, I will never more remember our former hatred, so thrive I and mine.
Dorset, embrace him. Hastings, love Lord Marquis.
This interchange of love I here protest, on my part shall be inviolable.
And so swear I. Now, princely Buckingham, seal thou this league with thy embracements to my wife's allies, and make me happy in your unity.
Whenever Buckingham doth turn his hate upon your grace, but with all duteous love doth cherish you and yours, God punish me with hate from those what I expect most love.
A pleasing cordial, princely Buckingham, is this thy vow unto my sickly heart?
My lord!
There wanteth now our brother Gloucester here to make the blessed period of this peace.
And in good time, here's Catesby, Ratcliffe, and the noble Duke.
Good morrow to my sovereign king and queen, and princely peers, a happy time of day.
Happy indeed, as we have spent the day. Gloucester, we have done deeds of charity, made peace of enmity, fair love of hate between these swelling, wrong, insensate peers.
A blessed labour, my most sovereign lord. Among this princely heap, if any here by false intelligence or wrong surmise hold me a foe, if I unwittingly or in my rage have aught committed that is hardly borne by any in this presence, I desire to reconcile me to his friendly peace. 'Tis death to me to be at enmity. I hate it, and desire all good men's love. First matter, I entreat true peace of you, which I will purchase with my duteous service. Of you, my noble cousin Buckingham, if ever any grudge will lodge between us, of you, Lord Rivers, and Lord Grey, of you, that all without desert have frowned on me. Dukes, earls, lords, gentlemen, indeed of all, I do not know that Englishman alive with whom my soul is any jot at odds more than the infant that is born tonight. I thank my God for my humility.
A holy day shall this be kept hereafter. I would to God all strifes were well compounded. My sovereign lord, I do beseech your highness to take our brother Clarence to your grace.
Why, madam, have I offered love for this? To be so flouted in this royal presence, who knows not that the gentle duke is dead? You do him injury to scorn his course.
Who knows not he is dead?
Who knows he is? Seeing heaven, what a world is this?
Is Clarence dead? The order was reversed.
But he, poor man, by your first order died, and that a winged Mercury did bear. Some tardy cripple bare the countermand that came too lack to see him buried.
My lord, a boon, my sovereign, for my service done.
I prithee peace, my soul is full of sorrow.
I will not rise unless your highness hear me.
Then say at once, what is it thou demandst?
The forfeit, sovereign, of my servant's life, who slew today a riotous gentleman lately attendant on the Duke of Norfolk.
Have I a tongue to doom my brother's death? And shall that tongue give pardon to a slave? My brother killed no man. His fault was thought, and yet his punishment is bitter death. Who sued to me for him? Who in my rage knelt at my feet and bade me be advised? Who spoke of brotherhood? Who spoke of love? Who told me how the poor soul did forsake the mighty Warwick and did fight for me? Who told me in the field at Tewkesbury when Oxford had me down, he rescued me and said, dear brother, live and be a king? Who told me when we both lay in the field, frozen almost to death, how he did lap me even in his garments and give himself all thin and naked to the numb cold night? All this from my remembrance brutish wrath sinfully plucked, and not a man of you had so much grace to put it in my mind that when your carters and your waiting vassals have done a drunken slaughter and defaced the precious image of our dear Redeemer, you're straighter on your knees for pardon. Pardon. And I unjustly too must give it you. But for my brother, not a man would speak. Nor I, ungracious, speak unto myself for him, poor soul. The proudest of you all have been beholding to him in his life, but none of you would once beg for his life. Oh God, I fear thy justice will take hold on me and you, and mine and yours for this. Come, Hastings, take me to my closet. Alas, poor Clarence!
This is the fruits of rashness. Marked you not how that the guilty kindred of the Queen looked pale when they did hear of Clarence's death? Oh, they did urge it still unto the king. God will revenge it.
Come, lords, will you go to comfort Edward with our company?
We'll wait upon your grace.
Who shall hinder me to wail and weep, to chide my fortune and torment myself?
Comfort, dear mother. God is much displeased that you take with unthankfulness his doing.
Madam, they think you like a careful mother of the young prince, your son. Send straight for him. Let him be crowned. In him your comfort lives. Drown desperate sorrow in dead Edward's grave and plant your joys in living Edward's throne.
Sister, have comfort. All of us have cause to wail the dimming of our shining star, but none can help our harms by wailing them. Madam, my mother, I do cry you mercy. I did not see your grace. Humbly, upon my knee, I crave your blessing.
God bless you, and put meekness in your breast. Love, charity, obedience, and true duty.
Amen. And make me die a good old man. That is the butt end of a mother's blessing. I marvel that her grace did leave it out.
You cloudy princes and heart-sorrowing peers that bear this heavy mutual load of moan, now cheer each other in each other's love. Though we have lost our harvest of this king, we are to reap the harvest of his son, the broken rancor of your high-swollen hates, but lately splintered, knit, and joined together, must gently be preserved, cherished, and kept. Meseemeth good that with some little train, forthwith from Ludlow, the young prince be fet hither to London to be crowned our king.
Why, with some little train, my lord of Buckingham?
Marry, my lord, lest by a multitude the new-healed wound of malice should break out, which should be so much the more dangerous by how much the estate is green and yet ungoverned.
I hope the king made peace with all of us, and the compact is firm and true in me.
And so in me.
No.
So I think in all. Yet since it is but green, it should be put to no apparent likelihood of breach. Therefore I say, with noble Buckingham, it is meet that so few should fetch the prince.
And so say I.
Then be it so, and go we to determine who they shall be that straight shall post to Ludlow. Madam, and you, my sister, will you go to give your censures in this business?
With all our hearts.
My lord. Whoever journeys to the king, for God's sake, let not us two stay at home. For by the way, I'll sought occasion to part the queen's proud kindred from the prince.
My other self. My counsels, consistory, my oracle, my prophet, my dear cousin. I, as a child, will go by thy direction. Toward Ludlow, then, for we'll not stay behind.
King dead! King shuffles off mortal coil! King dead! Good morning. Morning. Whither away so fast?
I promise you, I scarcely know myself. Is this the latest?
Yeah, Ed's dead.
Yeah. Ill news by a lady seldom comes to better. I fear to approve a giddy world.
Neighbours, Godspeed.
Morning.
Doth the news hold of good King Edward's death?
Oh, it is too true, called out the while.
Then, masters, look to see your troublous wound.
Now, by God's good grace, his son shall reign.
Woe to that land that's governed by a child.
Here, in him. there is an oath of government. Whilst a child, until he comes of age, the council of the realm shall govern well.
So stood the state when Henry VI was crowned in Paris, but at 9 months old.
Stood the state so? No, no, good friends. Good, what? For then this land was famously enriched with politic grave counsel. Then the king had virtuous uncles to protect his grace.
Why, so had this, both by his father and his mother.
Better it were they all come by his father. All by his father, there come none at all. For the danger is that Duke of Gloucester, and the Queen's sons and brothers, ought and proud. And were they to be ruled, and not to rule, this sickly land might solace as before.
Come, come, we fear the worst. All will be well.
When clouds are seen, wise men put on their clothes. When great leaves fall, then winter is at end. When the sun sets, who doth not look for night? Untimely storms makes men expect a dearth. All may be well, but if God sought it so, 'tis more than we deserve or I expect.
Truly the hearts of men are full of fear. I hardly know a man that is alive that looks more heavily and full of dread.
'Twas ever thus before the days of change, by a divine instinct, men's minds mistrust ensuing danger. As by proof, we see the waters swell before a boisterous storm. But leave it all to God. Whither away?
There I was called for to the justices.
And so was I. I'll bear your company.
Come on in.
King dead! King dead!
Last night I hear they lay at Stony Stratford, and at Northampton do they rest tonight. Tomorrow or next day they will be here.
I long with all my heart to see the prince. They say he is much grown since last I saw him.
But I hear no. They say my son of York has almost overtaken him in his growth.
Well, they say my uncle grew so fast that he could roar across at 2 hours old. It was 2 years before I got a tooth.
My pretty York, who told thee this?
Grandma, his nurse.
His nurse? Why, she was dead before you were born.
If she didn't tell me, I don't know who did.
Oh, parlous boy, go to. You are too shrewd.
But, madam, be not angry with the child.
Pictures have ears. Here comes my Lord of Ely. What news?
Such news, my lady, as grieves me to report.
What of the prince?
Well, and in health.
What is your news?
Lord Rivers and Lord Grey are sent to Pomfret, prisoners both.
Who hath committed them?
The mighty Dukes Gloucester and Buckingham.
What offence?
Why, or for what the nobles were committed, is all unknown to me, my gracious lady.
I see the ruin of my house. The tiger now hath seized the gentle hind. Insulting tyranny begins to jot upon the innocent and aweless throne. Welcome destruction, blood, and massacre. I see, as in a map, the end of all. Come, my boy. We will to sanctuary. Madam, farewell.
Nay, I will go with you.
You have no cause.
My gracious lady, go and thither bear thy treasures and thy goods. Come, I'll conduct you to the sanctuary.
Accursed and unquiet, wrangling days. How many of you have mine eyes beheld? My husband lost his life to get the crown, and often up and down my sons were tossed, made war upon themselves, brother to brother, blood to blood, self against self. Oh, preposterous and frantic outrage! End thy damned spleen!
Welcome, sweet prince, to London, to your chamber.
Welcome, dear cousin, my fourth sovereign.
I want more uncles here to welcome me.
Ah, sweet prince, the untainted virtue of your years has not yet dived into the world's deceit. Those uncles which you want were dangerous. God keep you from them, and from such false friends.
God keep you from false friends, but they were none. I thought my mother and my brother York, long before now, would have met us on the way. That Hastings is a slug. He's not told us if they will come or not.
And in good time, here comes the sweating lord.
Welcome, my lord. What, will our mother come?
On what occasion, God, he knows, not I, the Queen your mother and your brother York have taken sanctuary. The tender prince would fain have come with me to meet your grace, but by his mother was perforce withheld.
Fie, fie. What an indirect and peevish course is this of hers. Lord Cardinal, will your grace persuade the Queen to send the Duke of York unto his princely brother presently? If she deny, Lord Hastings go with him, and from her jealous arms pluck him beforce.
But if she be obdurate to mild entreaty, God in heaven forbid we should infringe the holy privilege of blessed sanctuary. Not for all this land would I be guilty of so deep a sin.
You are too senseless obstinate, my lord, too ceremonious and traditional. Away it but with the grossness of his age. You break not sanctuary in seizing him. The benefit thereof is always granted to those whose dealings have deserved the place, or those who have the wit to claim the place. This prince has neither claimed it nor deserved it, and therefore, in mine opinion, cannot have it. Oft have I heard of sanctuary men, but sanctuary children never till now.
My lord, you shall o'errule my mind for once. Come, my Lord Hastings, will you go with me?
I go, my lord.
Good lords, make all the speedy haste you may. Tell me, Uncle Gloucester, if my brother does come, where shall we stay until our coronation?
Oh, where it seems best unto your royal self, if I may counsel you. Some day or two your highness shall repose you at
the Tower.
Then where you please, and shall be thought most fit for your best health and recreation.
I do not like the tower of any place.
Oh, no.
Did Julius Caesar build it, my lord?
He did, my gracious lord, begin that place which since succeeding ages have re-edified.
That Julius Caesar was a famous man. I'll tell you what, my cousin Buckingham.
What, my gracious lord?
And if I live until I be a man, I will win our ancient right in France again. Or die a soldier as I live to king.
So wise, so young, they say, do never live long.
And in good time, here comes the Duke of York.
Richard of York! How fares our loving brother?
Well, my dread lord, time is calling now.
How fares our cousin, noble Lord of York?
I thank you, gentlemen. Uncle, you said that idle weeds are fast in growth.
Yeah.
The prince, my brother, hath outgrown me far.
He hath, my lord.
And is he therefore idle?
Oh, oh, my fair cousin, I must not say so.
Then he is more beholden to you than I.
Oh, he may command me as my sovereign, but you are powering me as in a kinsman.
I pray you, uncle, give me this dagger.
What? Will you have my weapon, little lord?
I would that I might thank you as you call me.
How?
Little.
My lord of York will still be cross to talk. Uncle, your grace knows how to bear with him.
You mean to bear me, not bear with me. Uncle, my brother mocks both you and me. Because I am little like an ape, he thinks he should bear me on his shoulders.
Oh, with what a sharp, provided wit he reasons. To mitigate the scorn he gives his uncle, he prettily and aptly taunts himself. So cunning and so young is wonderful.
My lord, will it please you? Pass along.
Noble Duke of Gloucester and myself will to your mother to entreat of her to meet you at the Tower and welcome you.
What, you going to the tower, my lord?
It is the wish of my lord protector.
I shall not sit quiet in the tower.
Why, what should you fear?
My uncle Clarence's angry ghost. My grandma told me he was murdered there.
Oh.
I fear no dead uncles.
No, none that live, I hope.
And if they live, I hope there is no need to.
Come, my lord, with a heavy heart, thinking on them, I go into the tower.
Thank you, my lord. This little prating York was not incensed by his subtle mother to taunt and scorn you thus appropriately?
No doubt, no doubt. Oh, 'tis a parlous boy, bold, quick, ingenious, forward, capable. He's all the mothers from the top to toe.
Well, let them rest.
Shakespeare.
Thou art sworn as deeply to effect what we intend as closely to conceal what we impart. Thou knowest our reasons urged upon the way. What thinkst thou? Were it not an easy matter to make William Lord Hastings of our mind for the instalment of this noble duke in the seat royal of this famous isle?
He, for his father's sake, so loves the prince that he will not be one to aught against him.
What thinks thou then of Stanley, will not he?
He will do all in all as Hastings doth.
Well then, no more but this. Go, gentle Catesby, and as it were afar off, sound thou Lord Hastings how he does stand affected to our purpose, and summon him tomorrow to the tower to sit about the coronation. If thou dost find him tractable to us, encourage him, tell him all our reasons. If he be leaden, icy, cold, unwilling, be thou so too, and so break off the talk and bring us notice of his inclination.
Commend me to Lord William. Tell him, Catesby, his ancient knot of dangerous adversaries tomorrow are let blood at Pomfret Castle. And bid my lord, for joy of this good news, give Mistress Shaw one gentle kiss them all.
Good Catesby, go. Effect this business soundly.
My good lords both, with all the heed I can.
Now, my lord, what shall we do if we perceive Lord Hastings will not yield to our complots?
Chop off his head. Something. We will determine. And look, when I'm king, claim thou of me the earldom of Hereford and all the movables whereof the king my brother was possessed.
I'll claim that promise at your grace's hand.
And look to have it yielded with all kindness. Come, let us go sup betimes, that afterwards we may digest our complots in some form.
My lord! My lord!
Who calls?
One from Lord Stanley.
What is the clock?
Upon the stroke of 4.
Cannot my Lord Stanley sleep these tedious nights?
So it appears, but then I have to say. First he commends him to your noble self.
What then?
Then certifies your lordship that this night he dreamt the boar had raised off his helm. Well, therefore sends he to know your lordship's pleasure, if you will presently take horse with him, and with all speed post with him toward the north, to shun the danger that his soul divines.
Go, fellow, go. Return unto thy lord. Tell him his fears are shadow without instance. And for his dreams, I wonder he's so simple to trust the mockery of unquiet slumbers. Go, bid thy master rise and come to me, and we will both together to the tower, where he shall see the boar will use us kindly.
I'll go, my lord, and tell him what you say.
To fly the boar before the boar pursues were to incense the boar to follow us and make pursuit where he did mean no chase.
My Lord Hastings, many good morrows to my noble lord.
Good morrow, Catesby. You are early stirring. What news in this our tottering state?
Oh, 'tis a reeling world indeed, my lord, and I believe will never stand upright till Richard wear the garland of the realm.
How? With the garland? Dost thou mean the crown?
Aye, my good lord.
I'll have this crown of mine cut from my shoulders before I see the crown so foul misplaced. But canst thou guess that he does aim at it?
Aye, on my life, and hopes to find you forward on his party for the gain thereof. And thereupon he sends you this good news, that this same very day your enemies, the kindred of the Queen, must die at Pomfret.
Indeed, I am no mourner for that news, because they have been still my adversaries. But I'll give my voice on Richard's side to bar my master's heirs in true descent. God knows I will not do it. To the death.
God keep your lordship in that gracious mind.
But I shall laugh at this a 12-month hence, the day which brought me and my master's hate. I live to look upon their tragedy. Well, Catesby, ere a fortnight make me older, I'll send some packing that yet not think on.
'Tis a vile thing to die, my noble lord, when men are unprepared and look not for it.
Oh, monstrous, monstrous. So it falls out with rivers Vaughan and Grey. And so 'twill do with some men else that think themselves as safe as thou and I, who, as thou knowest, are dear to princely Richard and to Buckingham.
And the princes both make high account of you.
I know they do, and I have well deserved it. Come on, come on. Where is your boar spear, man? Fear you the boar and go so unprovided?
My lord, good morrow. Good morrow, Catesby.
Good morrow.
As you may jest on, but by the holy rood, I do not like these several counsels I.
My lord, I hold my life as dear as you, and never in my days, I do protest, was it so precious to me as 'tis now. Think you, but that I know our state secure, I would be so triumphant as I am?
The lords at Pomfret, when they rode from London, were jocund and supposed their states were sure, and they indeed had no cause to misdoubt. Yet you see how soon the day o'ercast.
Oh, have with you what you want, my lord.
With sudden stab of rancour, I misdoubt. Well, pray God, I prove a needless coward, I say. What shall we toward the tower? The day is spent.
Today, the lords you talk of are beheaded.
They, for their truth, might better wear their heads than some that have accused them wear their hats. Come, my lord, let's away.
My Lord Hastings. My Lord Hastings. Well met, my lord. I am glad to see your lordship.
I thank thee, good Sir John, with all my heart. I'm in your debt for your last exercise. Oh, well, come the next Sabbath, and I will content you.
I'll, wait upon your lordship. What? Talking with a priest, Lord Chamberlain? Your friends in Pomfret, they do need the priest.
Good faith, and when I met this holy man, the men you talk of came into my mind. What, go toward the tower?
Yeah, I do, my lord, but long I cannot stay there. I shall return before your lordship ends.
Nay, like enough, for I stay dinner there.
And supper too, although thou knowest it not.
Come, we'll go.
I'll wait upon your lordship.
Catesby and Ratcliffe, let me tell thee this. Today shalt thou behold a subject die for truth, for duty, and for loyalty.
God bless the prince from all the pack of you. And not you are, damned bloodsuckers.
Come, dispatch. The limit of your lives is ours.
Oh, Pomfret, Pomfret, oh, thou bloody prison. Within the guilty closure of thy walls, Richard II here was hacked to death. And for more slander to thy dismal seat, we give to thee our guiltless blood to drink.
Make haste. The hour of death is expiate.
Come, Grey, let us here embrace. Farewell, till we meet again in heaven.
Morning, Your Grace.
Morning. Now, noble peers, the cause why we are met is to determine of the coronation. In God's name speak. When is the royal day?
Is all things ready for the royal tide?
It is, and wants but nomination.
Tomorrow, then, I judge a happy day.
Tomorrow?
Who knows the Lord Protector's mind herein? Who is most inward with the noble Duke? Your Grace, we think, should soonest know his mind. Oh, no, we know each other's faces. For our hearts, he knows no more of mine than I of yours, nor I of his, my lord, than you of mine. Lord Hastings, you and he are near in love.
I thank his Grace, I know he loves me well. But for his purpose in the coronation, I have not sounded him, nor he delivered his gracious pleasure any way therein. But you, my honourable lords, may name the time, and in the Duke's behalf I'll give my voice, which I presume you'll take in gentle part.
Happy time, here comes the Duke himself.
My noble lords and cousins all, good morrow. Oh, I have been long a sleeper. But I trust my absence doth neglect no great design, which by my presence might have been concluded.
Had you not come upon your cue, my lord, William Lord Hastings had pronounced your part, your voice for crowning of the king.
Then my Lord Hastings no man might be bolder. His lordship knows me well, and loves me well. My Lord of Ely, when I was last in Holborn, I saw good strawberries in your garden there. I do beseech you send for some of them.
Oh, marry and will, my lord, with all my heart.
Cousin of Buckingham, a word with you. Catesby's found at Hastings in our business and finds the testy gentleman so hot that he will lose his head ere give consent his master's child, as worshipfully he terms it, shall lose the royalty of England's throne.
Withdraw yourself a while. I'll go with you.
Yeah.
Well, we have not yet set down this day of triumph. Tomorrow, in my judgment, is too sudden. For I myself am not so well provided as else I would be were the day prolonged.
Where is my Lord of Gloucester? I've sent for these strawberries.
His Grace looks cheerfully and smooth today. There's some conceit or other that likes him well when then he bids good morrow with such spirit. I think there's never a man in Christendom can lesser hide his love or hate than he. For by his face, straight shall you know his heart.
What of his heart descried you in his face by any likelihood he showed today?
Marry, that with no man here he is offended, for were he had shown it in his looks.
I pray God he be not, I say.
I pray you all, tell me what they deserve that do conspire my death with devilish plots of damned witchcraft, and that have prevailed upon my body with their hellish charms.
The tender love I bear, your Grace, my Lord, makes me most forward in this princely presence to doom the offenders whatsoever they be. I say, my Lord, they have deserved death.
Then be your eyes the witness of their evil. See how I am bewitched. Behold, mine arm is like a blasted sapling withered up. And this is Edward's wife, the monstrous witch, consorted with that harlot strumpet sure, that by their witchcraft thus have marked me.
If they have done this deed, my noble lord...
If! Thou protector of this damned strumpet, talkst thou to me of ifs? Thou art a traitor. Off with his head. Now by St. Paul I swear I will not dine until I see the same. Catesby, Ratcliffe, look that it be done. The rest that love me, rise and follow me.
Woe, woe for England, not a whit for me. For I, too fond, might have prevented this. Stanley did dream, the boar did raise his helm, and I did scorn it and disdain to fly. Margaret, Margaret, now thy heavy curse is lighted on poor Hastings' wretched head.
Come, come, dispatch. The Duke would be at dinner. He longs to see your head.
No, the momentary grace of mortal men that we more hunt for than the grace of God, who built his hope in the air of your good looks, lives like a drunken sailor on a mast, ready at every nod to tumble down into the fatal bowels of the deep.
Come, come, dispatch. 'Tis bootless to exclaim.
Oh, bloody Richard! Miserable England! I prophesy the fearfulest time to thee that ever wretched age hath looked upon. Come, lead me to the block. Bear in my head. They smile at me, who shortly shall be dead.
How now? Is Catesby gone?
And soon he'll bring the mayor along.
Now, cousin, canst thou quake and change thy colour, murder thy breath in middle of a word, and then begin, and stop again, as if thou wert distraught and mad with terror?
I can counterfeit the deep tragedian, speak and look back and pry on every side, intending deep suspicion. Ghastly looks are at my service like enforced smiles, and both are ready in their offices at any time to grace my stratagems.
See, Catesby comes!
Lord Mayor!
Look through the drawbridge there! Catesby, all up the walls!
Lord Mayor, the reason we have sent for you...
Look back! Defend thee! There are enemies!
Oh, our innocency defend and guard us!
Be patient. It is a friend. Ratcliffe!
Here is the head of that ignoble traitor, the dangerous and unsuspected Hastings.
So dear, I love the man that I must weep. I took him for the plainest, harmless creature that breathed upon the earth, a Christian. So smooth, he daubed his vice with show of virtue. He lived from all attainder of suspect.
Well, he was the covetous, sheltered traitor. Would you imagine, or almost believe, but that by great preservation we live to tell it, that the subtle traitor this day had plotted in the council house to murder me and my good Lord of Gloucester?
Had he done so? What? Think you that we are Turks or infidels, or that we would against the form of law proceed thus rashly in the villain's death? But that the extreme peril of the case, the peace of England and our person's safety enforced us to this execution.
Now fair befall you, he deserved his death. And your good graces both have well proceeded to warn false traitors from the like offence.
I never looked for better at his hands after he once fell in with Mistress Shaw. Yet, had we not determined he should die until your lordship came to see his end, which now the loving haste of these our friends, something against our meanings, have prevented, because, my lord, we would have had you hear the traitor speak, and timorously confess the manner and the purpose of his treasons. that you might well have signified the same unto the citizens, who haply may misconstrue us in him, and wail his death.
My good lord, your grace's word shall serve us, well as I had seen and heard him speak. Do not doubt, right noble princes both. But I'll persuade our duteous citizens of all your just proceedings in this cause.
And to that end we wished your lordship here to avoid the censures of the carping world.
Well, since you come too late of our intent, yet witness what you hear we did intend, and so, my good Lord Mayor, we bid adieu.
Go, after Cousin Buckingham. The mayor towards Guildhall hies him in all post. There, at your meet's advantage of the time, infer the bastardy of Edward's children. Moreover, urge his hateful luxury and bestial appetite in change of lust, which stretched unto servants, daughters, wives. Tell them, when that my mother went with child of that insatiate Edward, noble York, my princely father, then had wars in France, and by true computation of the time, found that Edward was not his begot. Yet touched despairingly as 'twere far off, because, my lord, you know, my mother lives.
Fear not, my lord, I'll play the orator as if the golden fee for which I plead were for myself, and so, my lord, adieu.
If you thrive well, bring them to Baynard's castle, where you shall find me well accompanied with reverend fathers and well-learned bishops.
I go, and towards 3 or 4 o'clock look for the news that the Guildhall affords.
Go, Catesby, Ratcliffe, meet me within this hour at Baynard's castle. Now will I go to take some privy order to draw the brats of Clarence out of sight, and to give notice that no manner person have any time recourse unto the princes.
Here is the indictment of the good Lord Hastings, which in a set hand fairly is engrossed, that it may be today read o'er in pause. Yet see how ill the sequel holds together. 11 hours I have spent to write it all. For yesternight by Catesby was it sent me, and yet within these 5 hours Hastings lived untainted, unexamining, free, with liberty. There's a good world a while. Who is so gross that cannot see this palpable device? Yet who so bold, but says he sees it not? Bad is the world, and all will come to naught when such ill-dealing must be seen in thought.
How now, what say the citizens?
Now, by the Holy Mother of our Lord, the citizens are mum, speak not a word.
Touch to the bastardy of Edward's children.
I did with his contract with Lady Bona, the insatiate greediness of his desires, his enforcement of the city wives, his tyranny for trifles, his own bastardy, withal I did infer your lineaments, your discipline in war, wisdom in peace, your bounty, virtue, fair humility, in short, left nothing fitting for your purpose untouched or slightly handled in discourse. And when mine oratory drew to an end, I bid them that did love their country's good cry, Long live Richard, England's royal king.
And did they so?
No, so God help me, they spake not a word. But like dumb statues or breathing stones, stare each at other and look deadly pale.
What tongueless blocks were they?
When I saw, I reprehended them and asked the mayor what meant this wilful silence. His answer was the people were not used to be spoke to but by the magistrate. So he was urged to tell my tale again. Thus saith the Duke, thus hath the Duke inferred, but nothing spake in warrant for himself. When he had done, some followers of mine own at lower end of the hall hurled up their caps, and some 10 voices cried, God save King Richard, but thus I took the vantage of these few thanks. Gentle citizens and friends, quoth I, this general applause and cheerful shout argues your wisdoms and your love for Richard, and even here brake off and came away.
Will not the mayor then and his brethren come?
The mayor is here at hand. Intend some fear be not you spoke with, but by mighty suit. And look, you get a prayer book in your hand, but on that ground I'll build a holy descant. And be not easily won to our requests. Play the maid's part. Still answer nay, and take it.
I go. And if you plead as well for them as I can say nay to thee for myself, no doubt we'll bring it to a happy issue.
Go up to the left, Lord Mayor calls. Welcome, my lord. I dance attendance here. I think the Duke will not be spoke withal. Now, Catesby, what says his grace?
He doth entreat your grace, my noble lord, to visit him tomorrow or next day. He is within with two right reverend fathers, divinely bent to meditation, and in no earthly suit would he be moved to draw him from his holy exercise.
Return, good Catesby, to the noble Duke. Tell him myself, the mayor, and aldermen in deep designs, in matters of great moment, are come to have some conference with his grace.
I'll signify so much unto him straight.
Ah, my lord, this prince is not an Edward. He is not lolling on a lewd love bed, but on his knees at meditation. Happy were England would this virtuous prince take on himself the sovereignty thereof, but sure I fear we shall not win him to it.
Marry, God defend his grace should say his nay.
I fear he may. Ah, here Catesby comes again. Now, Catesby, what says your lord?
He wonders to what end you have assembled such troops of citizens to visit him, his grace not being warned thereof before. He fears, my lord, you mean no good to him.
Oh, sorry I am. My noble cousin should suspect me that I mean no good to him. By heavens, I come to him in perfect love, and so once more return and tell his grace.
I go.
When holy and devout religious men are at their beads, 'tis much to draw them, so sweet is zealous contemplation.
See where his grace comes, between two clergymen.
Two props of virtue for a Christian prince to stay him from the fall of vanity, and look, a book of prayer in his hand, true ornaments to know a holy man. Famous Plantagenet, a most noble prince, lend favourable ear to our requests, and pardon us the interruption of thy devotion and right Christian zeal.
My lord, there needs no such apology. I do beseech your grace to pardon me, who earnest in the service of my God deferred the visitation of my friends. But, leaving this, what is your grace's pleasure? I do suspect I have done some offence that seems disgracious in the city's eye, and that you come to reprehend my ignorance.
You have, my lord. Would it might please your grace at our entreaty to amend your fault?
Else wherefore breathe I in a Christian land?
Know then it is your fault that you resign the supreme seat, the throne majestical to the corruption of a blemished stock, which to recure, we heartily solicit your grace's self to take on you the charge and kingly government of this your land, not as protector, steward, substitute, but as successively from blood to blood, your right of birth, your empery, your own. For this, consorted with the citizens, your very worshipful and loving friends, and at their vehement instigation, in this just cause come I to move your grace.
I cannot tell if to depart in silence or bitterly to speak in your reproof. Your love deserves my thanks, but my desert unmeritable shuns your high request. First, if all obstacles were cut away, and that my path were even to the crown, yet so much is my poverty of spirit, so mighty and so many my defects, that I would rather hide me from my greatness. But God be thanked, there is no need of me.
Refuse not, mighty lord, this prophet love.
Oh, make them joyful, grant their lawful suit.
Alas! Why would you heap this care on me? I am unfit for state and majesty. I do beseech you, take it not amiss. I cannot, nor I will not yield to you.
If you refuse it, as in love and zeal, loath to depose the child, your brother's son, as well we know your tenderness of heart and gentle, kind, effeminate remorse, yet know, whether you accept our suit or no, your brother's son shall never reign our king. We will plant some other in the throne, to the disgrace and downfall of your house. And in this resolution, so we leave you. Come, citizens, zoons, I'll entreat no more.
Oh, do not swear, my lord of Buckingham.
Call him again, sweet prince. Grant them their suit. If you deny them, all the land will rue it.
Will you enforce me to a world of cares? Call them again.
Gentlemen, do you mind?
I am not made of stones, but penetrable to your kind entreaties, albeit against my conscience and my soul. Cousin of Buckingham, and sage, grave men, since you will buckle fortune on my back to bear her burden, whether I will or no, I must have patience to endure the load. But God doth know, and you may partly see how far I am from the desire of this.
God bless your grace, we see it, and will say it.
Then I salute you with his royal title. Long live Richard, England's royal king.
Long live Richard, England's royal king!
Tomorrow may it please you to be crowned.
Even when you please, for you will have it so.
Tomorrow then we will attend your grace, and so most joyfully we take our leave.
Farewell, my cousin, farewell, gentle friends. Come. Let us to our holy work again.
Who meets us here?
Anne of Gloucester.
Now, for my life, she's wandering to the tower.
Would give your graces both a happy and a joyful time of day?
As much to you, good sister. Whither away?
No further than the tower. And as I guess upon the like devotions as yourselves, to congratulate the gentle princes there.
Kind sister, thanks. We'll enter all together. And in good time, here the lieutenant comes. Master Lieutenant, pray you, by your leave, how doth the prince and my young son of York?
Right well, dear lady. By your patience, I may not suffer you to visit them. The king hath strictly charged the contrary.
The king? Who's that?
I mean the Lord Protector.
The Lord protect him from that kingly title. Hath he set bounds between their love and me? I am their mother, who shall bar me from them?
Their aunt I am in law, and love their mother. Then bring me to their sights, I'll bear thy blame and take thy office from thee on my peril.
No, madam, no, I may not leave it so. I am under oath. I pray you pardon me.
Lady Anne. Come, madam, you must straight to Westminster. There to be crowned Richard's royal queen.
Spiteful tidings. Oh, unpleasing news.
Be of good cheer. Mother, how fares your grace?
Oh, Dorset, speak not to me. Get thee gone. Death and destruction dogs thee at thy heels. If thou wilt outstrip death, go. Cross to France and live with Richmond from the reach of hell. Go, hie thee from this slaughterhouse, lest thou increase the number of the dead.
Full of wise care is this your counsel, madam. Dorset, take all the swift advantage of the hours. You shall have letters from me to my stepson Richmond to meet you on the way. Be not ta'en tardy with unwise delay.
Farewell.
Come, madam. I in all haste was sent.
And I with all unwillingness will go. Oh, would to God that the inclusive verge of golden metal that must drown my brow were red-hot steel to sear me to the brain.
Go, go, poor soul, I pity thy complaining. To feed my humour, wish thyself no harm.
No. Why? When he that is my husband now came to me as I followed Henry's course, and scarce the blood was well washed from his hands. Oh. When I say I looked on Richard's face, this was my wish. Be thou, quoth I, accursed for making me so young, so old, a widow. And when thou wedst, let sorrow haunt thy bed. And be thy wife, if any be so, made more miserable by the life of thee than thou hast made me by my dear lord's death. Lo, ere I can repeat these words again, within so small a time my woman's heart grossly grew captive to his honey words, and proved the subject of mine own soul's curse. For never yet 1 hour in his bed did I enjoy the golden dew of sleep, but with his dimmerest dreams was still awaked. Besides, he hates me for my father Warwick, and will no doubt shortly be rid of me.
Poor heart, adieu. I pity thy complaining.
No more than with my soul I mourn for yours.
Farewell, thou woeful welcomer of glory.
Adieu, poor soul that takes thy leave of it.
Stay, yet look back with me unto the tower. Pity you, ancient stones, those tender babes whom envy hath immured within your walls. Rough cradle for such little pretty ones. Rude, ragged nurse. Old, sullen playfellow for tender princes. Use my babies well. So foolish sorrow bids your stones farewell.
Stand all apart. Cousin of Buckingham.
My gracious sovereign.
Give me thy hand. Thus I, by thy advice and thy assistance, is King Richard seated. Phew. But shall we wear these glories for a day, or shall they last and we rejoice in them?
Still live they, and forever let them last.
Ah, Buckingham, now do I play the touch to try if thou be current gold indeed. Young Edward lives, think now what I would speak.
Say on, my loving lord.
Why, Buckingham, I say I would be king.
Why, so you are, my thrice-renowned lord.
Oh, am I king? 'Tis so. But Edward lives.
True, noble prince.
Oh, bitter consequence that Edward still should live, true noble prince. Cousin, thou wast not wont to be so dull. Shall I be plain? I wish the bastard's dead, and I would have it suddenly performed. What sayest thou now? Speak suddenly, be brief.
Your grace may do your pleasure.
Thou art all ice. Thy kindness freezes. Say, have I thy consent that they shall die?
Give me some little breath. Some pause, my lord, before I positively speak in this. I will resolve you herein presently.
I will converse with iron-witted fools and unrespective boys. None are for me that look into me with considerate eyes. High-reaching Buckingham grows circumspect. Ratcliffe.
My lord.
Knowest thou not any whom corrupting gold will tempt unto a close exploit of death?
I know a discontented gentleman, whose humble means match not his haughty spirits. Gold would as good as 20 auditors, and will, no doubt, tempt him to anything.
What is his name?
His name, my lord, is Tyrrell.
I partly know the man. Go, call him hither. The deep revolving, witty Buckingham no more shall be the neighbour to my counsels. Hath he so long held out with me untired, and stops he now for breath? Well, be it so. How now, Lord Stanley, what's the news?
No, my loving lord, the Marquis Dorset, as I hear, is fled to Richmond in the place where he abides.
Come hither. Catesby. Rumour it abroad that Anne, my wife, is very grievous sick. I will take order for her keeping close. Look how thou dreamst. I say again, give out that Anne, my queen, is sick and like to die. I must wed my brother Edward's daughter, or else my kingdom stands on brittle glass. Murder her, brothers, and then marry her. Uncertain way of gain, but I am in so far in blood that sin will pluck on sin. Tear-falling pity dwells not in this eye. Is thy name Tyrrell?
James Tyrrell, and your most obedient subject.
Art thou indeed?
Prove me, my gracious lord.
Darest thou resolve to kill a friend of mine?
Please you, I had rather kill 2 enemies.
Why, there thou hast it. 2 deep enemies. Foes to my rest, and my sweet sleep's disturbers are they that I would have thee deal upon. Tyrrell. I mean those bastards in the tower.
Let me have the open means to come to them, and I'll soon rid you of the fear of them.
Thou singst sweet music. Approach, lend thine ear. There is no more but so. Say it is done, and I will love thee and prefer thee for it. Go, by this token.
I will dispatch it straight.
Lord, I have considered in my mind the late request that you did sound me in.
Well, let that rest. Dorset is fled to Richmond.
As I hear the news, my lord.
Stanley!
My lord!
He's your wife's son. Well, look unto it.
My lord, I claim your gift. My due by promise, for which your honour and your faith is pawned. The earldom of Hereford and the movables which you've promised that I shall possess.
Stanley!
My lord!
Look to your wife. If she convey letters to Richmond, you shall answer it.
What says your highness to my just demand?
I do remember me. Henry VI did prophesy that Richmond should be king when Richmond was a little peevish boy. A king. Perhaps. Perhaps.
My lord.
How chance the prophet could not at that time have told me, I being by, that I should kill him.
My lord, your promise for the earldom.
Rich man. Last I was at Exeter, the mayor in courtesy showed me the castle there and called it Richmond. Which name I started because a bard of Ireland told me once I should not live long after I saw Richmond.
My lord.
Aye, what's o'clock?
I am thus bold to put your grace in mind of what you promised me.
Well, but what's o'clock?
Upon the stroke of 10.
Well, let it strike.
Why let it strike?
Because that like a jack, thou keepest the stroke betwixt thy begging and my meditation. I am not in the giving vein today.
May it please you to resolve me in my suit.
Thou troublest me. I am not in the vein.
Repays ye my deep service with such contempt. Made I him king for this? So let me think on Hastings, and be gone to Richmond while my fearful head is on.
The tyrannous and the bloody act is done. The most arch deed of piteous massacre that ever yet this land was guilty of. Dighton and Forrest, whom I did suborn to do this piece of ruthless butchery, albeit they were fleshed villains, bloody dogs, melting with tenderness and mild compassion, wept like the children in their death's sad story. Oh, thus, quoth Dighton, lay the gentle babes. Thus, quoth Forrest, girdling one another within their innocent alabaster arms. Their lips were 4 red roses on a stalk, which in their summer's beauty kissed each other. A book of prayers on their pillow lay, which once, quoth Forrest, almost changed my mind, but oh, the devil. And there the villain stopped. And Dighton thus told on. We smothered the most replenished sweet work of nature that from the prime creation ere she framed. Hence both are gone with conscience and remorse. They could not speak. Though I left them both to bring these tidings to the bloody king. Here he comes. All health, my sovereign liege.
Kind Tyrrell, am I happy in thy news?
If to have done the thing thou gavest in charge begets thy happiness, be happy then, for it is done.
But didst thou see them dead?
I did, my lord.
And buried, gentle Tyrrell?
The chaplain of the tower hath buried them, but where, to say the truth, I cannot tell.
Come to me, Tyrrell, soon at after supper, when thou shalt tell the process of their death. Meantime, but think how I may do thee good, and be inheritor of thy desire. Farewell till then.
I humbly take my leave.
The son of Clarence have I pent up close. His daughter meanly have I matched in marriage. The sons of Edward sleep, in Abraham's bosom, and Anne, my wife, hath bid this world good night. Now, for I know the Breton Richmond aims at young Elizabeth, my brother's daughter, and by that knot looks proudly on the crown. To her go I, a jolly, thriving wooer.
My lord.
Good or bad news that thou comest in so bluntly?
Bad news, my lord. Ely has fled to Richmond, and Buckingham, backed by the hardy Welshmen, is in the field, and still their power increaseth.
Ely with Richmond troubles me more near than Buckingham and his rash levied strength. Come, fiery expedition be my wing, Jove's Mercury and herald for a king. Go, muster men! My counsel is my shield. We must be brave when traitors brave the field.
So now prosperity begins to mellow and drop into the rotten mouth of death. Here in these confines slyly have I lurked to watch the waning of mine enemies. And dire induction am I witness to, and will to France, hoping the consequence will prove as bitter, black, and tragical.
Ah, my poor princes. Ah, my tender babes, my unblown flowers, new appearing sweets. If yet your gentle souls fly in the air and be not fixed in doom perpetual, hover about me with your airy wings and hear your mother's lamentation.
So many miseries have crazed my voice that my woe-wearied tongue is still and mute.
Wilt thou, O God, fly from such gentle lambs and throw them in the entrails of the wolf? When didst thou sleep when such a deed was done?
If ancient sorrow be most reverend, give mine the benefit of seniority. I had an Edward till a Richard killed him. I had a Harry till a Richard killed him. You had an Edward till a Richard killed him. You had a Richard till a Richard killed him.
I had a Richard too, and thou didst kill him. I had a Rutland too. Thou hopest to kill him.
Thou had a Clarence too, and Richard killed him. From forth the kennel of thy womb hath got the hellhound that doth hunt us all to death. That dog that had his teeth before his eyes, to worry lambs and lap their gentle blood, that foul defacer of God's handiwork, thy womb let loose to chase us to our graves.
Harry's wife, triumph not in my woes. God witness with me, I have wept for thine.
Oh, bear with me. I am hungry for revenge, and now I cloy me with beholding it. Earth gapes, hell burns, fiends roar, saints pray to have him suddenly conveyed from hence. Cancel his bond of life, dear God I plead, that I may live and say, the dog is dead.
Oh, thou didst prophesy the time would come that I should wish for thee to help me curse that bottle spider, that foul bunchbacked toad.
I called thee then, vain flourish of my fortune. I called thee then, poor shadow, painted queen, a presentation of but what I was, a queen in jest, only to fill the scene. Where is your husband now? Where are thy brothers? Where are thy 2 sons? Wherein dost thou joy? Who sues and kneels and says, God save the queen? Where be the bending peers that flattered thee? Where be the thronging troops that followed thee? Decline all this, and see what now thou art. Farewell, York's wife and queen of sad mischance. These English woes will make me smile in France.
Oh, thou well skilled in curses, stay a while and teach me how to curse mine enemies.
Forbear to sleep the nights, and fast the days. Compare dead happiness with living woes. Think that thy babes were sweeter than they were, and he that slew them fouler than he is. Bettering thy loss makes the bad causer worse. Revolving this will teach thee how to curse.
Shakespeare! Ratcliffe! See that it be done. Who intercepts me in my expedition?
Oh, she that might have intercepted thee by strangling thee in her accursed womb from all the slaughters, wretch, that thou hast done.
Madam, I have a touch of your condition that cannot brook the accent of reproof.
Oh, let me speak.
Yes, speak so bitterly.
Hear me one word, or I will never speak to you again.
So?
Either thou wilt die through God's just ordinance, or I with grief and extreme age will perish and never more behold thy face again. Therefore take with thee my most grievous curse. My prayers on the adverse party fight, and there the little souls of Edward's children whisper the spirits of thine enemies and urge them to success and victory. Bloody thou art. Bloody will be thy end. Shame serves thy life, and doth thy death attend.
Stay, madam. I must talk a word with you.
I have no more sons of the royal blood for thee to slaughter.
Oh.
For my daughters, Richard, they shall be praying nuns, not weeping queens, and therefore level not to hit their lives.
You have a daughter called Elizabeth, virtuous and fair, royal and gracious.
Must she die for this? Oh, let her live, and I'll corrupt her manners, stain her beauty, slander myself as false to Edward's bed. So she may live unscarred of bleeding slaughter, I will confess she was not Edward's daughter.
Wrong not her birth. She is a royal princess.
To save her life, I'll say she is not so.
Her life was safest only in her birth.
And only in that safety died her brothers.
La, at their birth, God's stars were opposite.
No, to their lives, ill friends were contrary. My babes were destined to a fairer death if grace had blessed thee with a fairer life.
You speak as if that I had slain my cousins.
Whose hands soever launched thy tender hearts, thy head all indirectly gave direction. My tongue shook to thine ears, not name my boys, till that my nails were anchored in thine eyes.
Madam, I intend more good to you and yours than ever you or yours by me were harmed.
What good is covered with the face of heaven to be discovered that can do me good?
The advancement of your children, gentle lady,
up to some scaffold, there to lose their heads.
unto the dignity and height of fortune, the high imperial type of this earth's glory.
Flatter my sorrow with report of it. Tell me, what state, what dignity, what honour canst thou demise to any child of mine?
Even all I have? Aye, and myself and all, will I withal endow a child of thine. So in the lethe of thy angry soul thou drown the sad remembrance of those wrongs which thou supposest I have done to thee.
Be brief, lest that the process of thy kindness last longer telling than thy kindness did.
Then know that from my soul I love thy daughter.
My daughter's mother thinks it with her soul.
What do you think?
That thou dost love my daughter from thy soul. So from thy soul's love didst thou love her brothers, and from my heart's love I do thank thee for it.
Be not so hasty to confound my meaning. I mean that with my soul I love thy daughter, and do intend to make her Queen of England.
Well then, who dost thou mean shall be her king?
Even he that makes a queen, who else should be?
What, thou?
Even so. How think you of it?
How canst thou woo her?
That would I learn of you, as one being best acquainted with her humour.
And wilt thou learn of me?
Madam, with all my heart.
Send to her, by the man that slew her brothers, a pair of bleeding hearts, thereon engraved Edward and York. Then haply will she weep. Therefore present to her, as sometime Margaret did to thy father, steeped in Rutland's blood, a handkerchief, which say to her did drain the purple sap from her sweet brother's body, and bid her wipe her weeping eyes withal. If this inducement move her not to love, send her a letter of thy noble deeds. Tell her thou madest away her uncle Clarence, her uncle Rivers, aye, and for her sake madest quick conveyance with her good Aunt Anne.
You mock me, madam. This is not the way to win your daughter.
There is no other way unless thou couldst put on some other shape and not be Richard that hath done all this.
Say that I did all this for love of her.
Why, then she cannot choose but hate thee, having bought love with such a bloody spoil.
Look, what is done cannot be now amended. Men shall deal unadvisedly sometimes, which after hours gives leisure to repent. If I did take the kingdom from your sons to make amends, I'll give it to your daughter. If I have killed the issue of your womb, to quicken your increase, I will beget mine issue of your blood upon your daughter. Your children were vexation to your youth, but mine shall be a comfort to your age. The loss you have is but a son being king, and by that loss, your daughter is made queen. Again shall you be mother to a king, and all the ruins of distressful times repaired with double riches of content. We have many goodly days to see. The liquid drops of tears that you have shed shall come again, transformed to orient pearl, advantaging their loan with interest of 10 times double gain of happiness. Go then, my mother. To thy daughter go, make bold her bashful years with your experience, prepare her ears to hear a wooer's tale. Put in her tender heart the aspiring flame of golden sovereignty. Acquaint the princess with the sweet, silent hours of marriage joys. And when this arm of mine hath chastised the petty rebel, dull-brained Buckingham, bound with triumphant garlands will I come, and lead thy daughter to a conqueror's bed, to whom I will retail my conquest won, and she shall be sole victorious. Caesar, Caesar!
What were I best to say? Her father's brother would be her lord, or shall I say her uncle? Or he that slew her brothers and her uncles? Under what title shall I woo for thee, that God, the law, my honour, and her love shall make seem pleasing to her tender years?
Infer fair England's peace by this alliance.
Which she shall purchase with still lasting war.
Say she shall be a high and mighty queen.
To lose the title as her mother doth.
Say, I will love her everlastingly.
But how long shall that title ever last?
Sweetly enforced unto her fair life's end.
But how long fairly shall her sweet life last?
As long as heaven and nature lengthens it.
As long as hell and Richard likes of it.
Say, I, her sovereign, am her subject low.
But she, your subject, loathes such sovereignty.
Be eloquent in my behalf to her.
An honest tale speeds best being plainly told.
Then plainly to her tell my loving tale.
Plain and not honest is too harsh a style.
Your reasons are too shallow and too quick.
Oh, no. My reasons are too deep and dead. Too deep and dead, poor infants in their graves.
Harp not on that string, madam, that is past.
Harp on it still shall I till heartstrings break.
Now, by my George, my daughter, and my crown,
profaned, dishonoured, and the third usurped.
I swear.
By nothing, for this is no oath. Thy saint profaned hath lost his lordly honour. Thy garter blemished, pawned his knightly virtue. Thy crown usurped, disgraced his kingly glory. If something thou wouldst swear to be believed, swear then by something that thou hast not wronged.
Then by myself.
Thyself is self misused.
Now by the world.
'Tis full of thy foul wrongs.
My father's death.
Thy life hath it dishonoured.
Why then, by God!
God's wrong is most of all. If thou didst fear to break an oath with him, the unity the king my husband made, thou hadst not broken, nor my brothers died. If thou hadst feared to break an oath with him, the imperial metal circling now thy head had graced the tender temples of my child, and both the princes had been breathing here, which now two tender bedfellows for dust. Thy broken faith hath made the prey for worms. What canst thou swear by now?
The time to come.
that thou hast wronged in the time o'erpast. The children live whose fathers thou hast slaughtered. The parents live whose children thou hast butchered. Swear not by time to come, for that thou hast misused, e'er-used, by times ill-used or past.
As I intend to prosper and repent, so thrive I in my dangerous affairs of hostile arms. Myself, confound heaven and fortune, bar me happy hours. Day yield me not thy light, nor night thy rest. Be opposite all planets of good luck to my proceeding, if with dear heart's love, immaculate devotion, holy thoughts, I tender not thy beauteous, princely daughter. In her consists my happiness, and thine. Without her follows to myself, and thee, herself, the land, and many a Christian soul. Death, desolation, ruin, and decay. It cannot be avoided, but by this. It will not be avoided, but by this. Therefore, dear mother, I must call you so, be the attorney of my love to her. Plead what I will be, not what I have been, not my deserts, but what I will deserve. Urge the necessity and state of times, and be not peevish fond in great designs.
Shall I be tempted of the devil thus?
Aye. If the devil tempt you to do good.
Shall I forget myself to be myself?
Aye. If your self-remembrance wrong yourself.
Yet thou didst kill my children.
But in your daughter's womb I bury them. Where in that nest of spicery they will breed selves of themselves to your recomforture.
Shall I go win my daughter to thy will?
And be a happy mother by the deed.
I go. Write to me very shortly, and you shall understand from me her mind.
Bear her! My true loves. Kiss. And so farewell. Relenting fool and shallow-changing woman. How now, what news?
Most mighty sovereign, on the western coast rideth the puissant navy. To our shores throng many hollow, hard-hearted friends, unarmed and unresolved to beat them back. 'Tis thought Richmond is their admiral.
Some Lightfoot friend, post to the Duke of Norfolk, Ratcliffe myself. Oh, Catesby, where is he?
Here, my good lord.
Catesby, fly to the Duke.
I will, my lord, with all convenient haste.
Come here, Ratcliffe. Post us. Dull and mindful fellow, why stayest thou here and goest not to the Duke?
First, mighty liege, tell me your highness' pleasure what from your grace I shall deliver to him.
Oh, true, good Catesby. Bid him levy straight, the greatest strength and power that he can make, and meet me suddenly at Salisbury.
I go.
What may please you shall I do at Salisbury?
Why, what wouldst thou do there before I go?
Your highness told me I should post before.
My mind is changed. How now, Lord Stanley, what's the news with you?
None, good my lord, to please you with the hearing, yet none so bad, but well may be reported.
Hoyday, a riddle. Neither good nor bad. What mayst thou run so many miles about when thou mayst tell thy tale the nearest way? Once more, what news?
Richmond is on the seas.
There, let him sink above the seas on him. White-livered renegade. What doth he there?
I know not, mighty sovereign, but by guess.
Where? As you guess.
Stirred up by Dorset, Buckingham, and Morton, he makes for England here to claim the throne.
Is the chair empty? Is the sword unswayed? Is the king dead? The empire unpossessed? What heir of York is there alive but we? And who is England's king but great York's heir? Then tell me, what doth he upon the seas?
Unless for that, my lord, I cannot guess.
Unless for that he comes to be your liege. You cannot tell wherefore the Welshman comes. Thou wilt revolt and fly to him, I fear.
No, my good lord, therefore mistrust me not.
Where thy powers then to beat him back, huh? Where are thy tenants and thy followers? Are they not now upon the western shore, safe conducting the rebels from their ships?
Oh, no, my good lord, my friends are in the north.
Cold friends to me. What do they in the north when they should serve their sovereign in the west?
They have not been commanded, mighty sovereign. If it pleases your grace to grant me leave, I'll muster up my friends and meet your majesty where and what time your majesty shall please.
Aye. Aye. Thou wilt be gone to join with Richmond. But I'll not trust thee.
My sovereign lord, you have no cause to hold my friendship doubtful. I never was, nor never will be false.
Go then and muster men. But leave behind your son, George Stanley. And look your heart be firm, or else his head's assurance is but frail.
So deal with him as I prove true to you.
My gracious sovereign, now in Devonshire, and many more confederates up in arms.
In Kent, my liege, the Guildfords are in arms, and every hour more competitors flock to the rebels, and their powers grow strong. My lord, the army of Great Buckingham...
Out on you all! Nothing but songs of death!
The news I have to tell your majesty is that by sudden flood and fall of water, Great Buckingham's army is dispersed and scattered, and he himself wandered away alone, no man knows whither.
Oh. I cry you mercy. Hath any well-advised friend proclaimed reward to him that brings the traitor in?
Such proclamation hath been made, my lord.
My lord, 'tis said that Yorkshire is in arms, but this good comfort bring I to your majesty. The Breton navy is dispersed by tempest.
March on, march on. Since we're up in arms, if not to fight with foreign enemies, yet to beat down these rebels here at home.
My lord, the Duke of Buckingham is taken.
Yes!
That is the best news. That the Earl of Richmond is with a mighty power landed at Milford is colder tidings, and yet they must be told.
Away towards Salisbury. While we reason here, a royal battle might be won and lost. Someone take order. Buckingham be brought to Salisbury. The rest, march on with me.
Sir Christopher, tell Richmond this from me, that in the sty of the most deadly boar, my son George Stanley is franked up in hold. If I revolt, off goes young George's head. The fear of that holds off my present aid. But say withal, the Queen hath heartily consented he should espouse Elizabeth, her daughter. Tell me, where is princely Richmond now? Pembroke? In Wales. What men of name resort to him? I see. I see. Well, well. My letters will resolve him of my mind. Farewell.
Will not King Richard let me speak with him?
No, good my lord, therefore be patient.
Hastings and Edward's children, Grey, Rivers, holy King Henry, and thy fair son Edward, Clarence, and all that have miscarried by underhand, corrupted, foul injustice. If that your moody, discontented souls do through the clouds behold this present act, even for revenge, mock my destruction. It is All Souls' Day, Catesby, is it not?
It is, my lord.
Why then, All Souls' Day is my body's doomsday. This is the day that in King Edward's time I wished might fall on me, when I was found false to his children or his wife's allies. This is the day wherein I wish to fall by the false faith of him whom most I trusted. This All Souls' Day to my fearful soul is the determined respite of my wrongs. And I, all seer whom I dallied with, have turned my feigned prayer on my head and given in earnest what I begged in jest. Thus did he force the swords of wicked men to turn their own points in their masters' bosoms. Thus Margaret's curse falls heavy on my neck. When he, quoth she, shall split thy heart with sorrow, remember Margaret was a prophetess. Come, lead me, Catesby, to the block of shame. Wrong hath but wrong, and blame the due of blame.
Thus far into the bowels of the land have we marched on without impediment. And here receive we from our father Stanley lines of fair comfort and encouragement. The wretched, bloody, and usurping boar who spoiled your summer fields and fruitful vines, swills your warm blood like wash and makes his trough in your emboweled bosoms. This foul swine is now even in the centre of this isle, near to the town of Leicester, as we learn.
Every man's conscience is 1,000 men to fight against this guilty homicide.
I doubt not, but his friends will turn to us.
He hath no friends, but what are friends for fear? That in his dearest need will fly from him.
All for our vantage. Then in God's name, march! Here, Richard's End. Even here in Bosworth Field. Come now, good Catesby. What look you so sad?
My heart is 10 times lighter than my look.
My lord of Norfolk!
My lord.
Norfolk, we must have knocks. Ha! Must we not?
We must both give and take, my loving lord.
Up with my tent! Here will I lie tonight. But where tomorrow? Well, all's one for that. Who hath described the number of the traitors?
6,000 or 7,000 is their utmost power.
Why, our battalia trebles that account. Besides, the king's name is a tower of strength which they upon the adverse faction want. Let's survey the vantage of the ground. Call for some men of sound direction. Let's lack no discipline, make no delay, for Lord's tomorrow is a busy day. The weary sun hath made a golden set. A
by the bright track of his fiery car gives token of a goodly day tomorrow. Bring me some ink and paper to my tent. I'll draw the form and model of our battle. Where is Lord Stanley quartered, do you know?
His regiment lies a half a mile at least south from the mighty power of the king.
If, without peril, it be possible, sweet Blunt, with some good means to speak with him and give him from me this most needful note.
Upon my soul, my lord, I'll undertake it. So God give you quiet rest tonight.
Good night, good Captain Blunt. Come, gentlemen, let us consult upon tomorrow's business. Into my tent. The dew is raw and cold. What is the clock?
It's supper time, my lord. It's 9 o'clock.
I will not sup tonight. Give me some ink and paper. What? Is my beaver easier than it was, and all my armour laid into my tent?
It is, my lord, and all things are in readiness.
Good Norfolk. My lord. Hie thee to thy charge. Use careful watch. Choose trusty sentinels.
I go, my lord.
Stir with the lark tomorrow, gentle Norfolk.
I warrant you, my lord.
Catesby.
My lord.
Send out a manservant at arms to Stanley's regiment. Bid him bring his power before sun rising, lest his son George fall into the blind cave of eternal night.
I go.
Fill me a bowl of wine. Give me a what? Saddle white surrey for the field tomorrow.
My lord.
Look that my staves be sound and not too heavy.
My lord.
Ratcliffe.
My lord.
So thou the melancholy Lord Northumberland.
Thomas Earl of Surrey and himself, much about cockshot time, from troop to troop, went through the army, cheering up the soldiers.
So, I'm satisfied. Give me a bowl of wine. I have not that alacrity of spirit nor cheer of mind that I was wont to have. Sit it down. Is ink and paper ready?
It is, my lord.
Bid my guard watch. Leave me. Ratcliffe, about the mid of night, come to my tent and help to arm me. Leave me, I say.
Fortune and victory sit on thy head.
All comfort that the dark night can afford be to thy person, noble father-in-law. Tell me, how fares our loving mother?
I by attorney greet thee from thy mother, who prays continually for Richmond's good. So much for that. The silent hours steal on. Prepare thy battle early in the morning. With best advantage I'll deceive the time and aid thee in this doubtful shock of arms. But on thy side I may not be too forward. As being seen, thy stepbrother, young George, be executed in his father's sight. Once more adieu. Be valiant and speed well.
Good Blunt, conduct him to his regiment. I'll strive with troubled thoughts to take a nap. This leaden slumber pies me down tomorrow when I should mount with wings of victory. Once more, good night. Kind lords and gentlemen.
Good night, my lord. Good night, my lord.
O thou whose captain I account myself, look on my forces with a gracious eye. Put in their hands thy bruising irons of wrath, that they may crush down with a heavy fall the usurping helmets of our adversaries. Make us thy ministers of chastisement, that we may praise thee in the victory. To thee I do commend my watchful soul ere I let fall the windows of mine eyes. Sleeping and waking, O defend me still.
Let Prince Edward sit heavy on thy soul tomorrow. Think how thou stabst me, my prime of youth at Tewkesbury, to spur therefore, and die
when I was mortal. My anointed body by thee was punctured full of deadly hopes. Think on the tower and me, despair and die. Harry the Sixth bids thee despair and die.
Let me sit heavy in thy soul tomorrow, I that was washed to death with fulsome wine. Poor Clarence, by thy guile betrayed to death. Tomorrow in the battle think on me, and fall thy edgeless sword, despair, and die.
Let me sit heavy in thy soul tomorrow. Rivers that died at Pomfret, despair and die.
Think upon Grey, and let thy soul despair.
Bloody and guilty, guiltily await, and in a bloody battle in thy days. Think on Lord Hastings, despair and die.
Dream on your nephew smothered in the tower.
We weigh you down to ruin, shame, and death.
Your nephew's souls bid you despair and die.
Richard, thy wife, that wretched Anne, thy wife, that never slept a quiet hour with thee, now fills thy sleep with perturbation. Tomorrow in the battle, think on me. Let fall thy edgeless sword. Despair and die.
Good.
First was I that helped thee to the crown. The last was I that felt thy tyranny. Or in the battle, think on Buckingham, and die in terror of thy guiltiness. Dream on of bloody deeds and death. Fainting, despair. Despairing, yield thy breath.
Give me another horse!
Bind up my wounds. Have mercy, Jesus. I did but dream. Oh, coward conscience, how dost thou afflict me? The lights burn blue. It is now dead midnight. Cold, fearful drops stand on my trembling flesh. What do I fear? Myself? There's none else by. Richard loves Richard. That is, I am I. Is there a murderer here? No. Yes. I am. Then fly. What, from myself?
Great reason why, lest I revenge.
What? Myself upon myself, alack! I love myself. Wherefore, for any good that I myself have done unto myself, oh no, alas, I rather hate myself for hateful deeds committed by myself. I am a villain. Yet I lie. I'm not. Fool, of thyself speak well. Fool, do not flatter. My conscience hath 1,000 several tongues, and every tongue brings in a several tale, and every tale condemns me for a villain. Perjury, perjury in the highest degree, murder, stern murder in the direst degree. All several sins, all used in each degree, throng to the bar, crying all guilty! Guilty? Shall despair? There is no creature loves me. And if I die, no soul will pity me. And wherefore should they? Since that I myself find in myself no pity to myself. Methought the souls of all that I had murdered came to my tent, and every one did threat tomorrow's vengeance on the head of Richard.
My lord.
Swords! Who's there?
Back, my lord. It is 4 o'clock. Your friends are up. Unbuckle on their armor.
Oh, Ratcliffe, I have dreamed a fearful dream.
What thinkst thou? Will our friends prove all true?
No doubt, my lord.
Oh, Ratcliffe, a fear.
Aye. Fear. Nay, good, my lord. Be not afraid of shadows.
Now, by the Apostle Paul, shadows tonight have struck more terror to the soul of Richard than can the substance of 10,000 soldiers armed in proof and led by shallow Richmond. It is not yet near day. Come, go with me. Under our tents I'll play the eavesdropper, to see if any mean to shrink from me.
Good morrow, Richmond.
Cry mercy, lords and watchful gentlemen. You have ta'en a tardy sluggard here.
Hardly slept, my lord.
Sweetest sleep. And fairest boding dreams that ever entered in a drowsy head have I since your departure had, my lords. Methought the souls whose bodies Richard murdered came to my tent and cried on victory. Oh, I promise you my heart is very jocund at remembrance of so fair a dream. How far into the morning is it, lords?
Upon the stroke of 4.
Well, then 'tis time to arm and give direction. More than I have said, loving countrymen, the leisure and enforcement of the time forbids to dwell upon. But remember this: God and our good cause fight on our side. The prayers of holy saints and wronged souls like high-reared bulwarks stand before our faces. Richard, accept those whom we fight against and rather have us win than him they follow. For what is he they follow? Truly, gentlemen, a bloody tyrant and a homicide. One raised in blood and one in blood established. A base, foul stone made precious by the foil of England's chair, where he is falsely set. One that hath ever been God's enemy. Then if you fight against God's enemy, God will, in justice, ward you as his soldiers. Then in the name of God and all these rights, advance your standards, draw your willing swords. For me, the ransom of my bold attempt shall be this cold corpse on the earth's cold face. But if I thrive the gain of my attempt, the least of you shall share his part thereof. Then into battle, bold and cheerfully, cry God, St. George, Richmond, and victory! Victory!
What's said? Northumberland, as touching Richmond?
That he was never trained up in arms.
Ah, he said the truth. And what said Surrey then?
He smiled and said the better for our purposes.
He was in the right. So indeed it is till the clock there.
Upon the stroke of 4.
Give me a calendar. Who saw the sun today?
Not I, my lord.
Then he disdains to shine. For by the book he should have braved the east. An hour ago. A black day will it be. For somebody. Ratcliffe.
My lord.
The sun will not be seen today. The sky doth frown and lower upon our army. I would these dewy tears were from the ground.
Not shine today.
Why? What is that to me? More than to Richmond. For the self-same heaven that frowns on me, looks sadly upon him.
Arm! Arm, my lord! The foe bolts in the field!
Come, bustle, bustle! Comparison my horse, call of Lord Stanley. Bid him bring his power.
Paris and white sorrow for the king!
I will lead forth my soldiers to the plain. Thus my battle shall be ordered. This and St. George to boot. What thinkst thou, Norfolk?
A good direction, warlike sovereign. This found I in my tent this morning.
The cat, the rat, and Norfolk the dog rule all England under the hog. Thing devised by the enemy. What says Lord Stanley? Will he bring his power?
My lord, he doth deny to come.
Off with his son George's head!
My lord, the enemy is past the marsh. After the battle with George Stanley died.
1,000 hearts are great within my bosom. Go, gentlemen, every man unto his charge. Let not our babbling dreams affright our souls. Conscience is but a word that cowards use, devised at first to keep the strong in awe. Our strong arms be our conscience, swords our law. March on, join bravely, let us to it, pell-mell, If not to heaven, then hand in hand to hell!
Rescue! My Lord of Norfolk! Rescue! Rescue! The king enacts more wonders than a man, daring and opposite to every danger. His horse is slain, and all on foot he fights, searching for Richmond in the throat of death. Rescue, fair lord, or else the day is lost.
God. And your arms be praised, victorious friends! The day is ours! The bloody dog. He's dead. England hath long been mad and scarred herself. The brother blindly shed the brother's blood. The father rashly slaughtered his own son. The son compelled been butcher to the sire. All this divided York and Lancaster. For now, let Richmond and Elizabeth, the true succeeders of each royal house, by God's fair ordinance conjoined together, and let their heirs, God, if thy will be so, enrich the time to come with smooth-faced peace, with smiling plenty and fair, prosperous days. Abate the edge of traitors, gracious Lord, that would reduce these bloody days again and make poor England weep in streams of blood. Let them not live to taste this land's increase, that would with treason wound her fair land's peace. Now civil wounds are stopped. Peace lives again, that she may long live here. God say, Amen.